you cannot pray away your ignorance of certain principles. You cannot pray away your violation of obvious principles that work. If you are a man or a woman who has accepted mediocrity as a standard in your life, you need to understand that there is no amount of fasting that can save you. The point I'm making to you is you must come to the understanding that if you do not increase your value as a person, there is no amount of religious activity that will help you. Listen to me. Prayer will not help you. Fasting will not help you. Church attendance will not help you if you do not understand this one thing. Welcome to another episode of Align with Poloko. My friend, this is where faith meets practical living, where it becomes personal transformation. Now, as I opened this video, I said to you that prayer will not help you. Fasting will not help you. There is no amount of religious activity that will help you if you do not understand the power of value. Now, if you're joining me for the first time today, you should know that we are currently on day 2. This is episode 2 of our new podcast. By the way, yes, episode 2. If you show up again, then you are really serious, all right? If you do it once, okay. If you show up again, it's like, okay. And then if you show up a third time, then it's done. So let's cross our fingers and hope that we show up a third time. But my friend, we are here. We're here. We're currently going through the principles in this book, Unlocking Favor with God and People. And as we're going through this, I'm very fascinated by what it is that I have been observing in my own life. As I look back at my own journey and see some of the principles that changed my life, that transformed my life, and the time I sat down to put them in the book, I'm very fascinated by how obvious it is, how easy it is once you understand it. Because oftentimes we think that moving forward, getting unstuck is this thing that is beyond us because of where we are and how long we've been stuck. But once you understand certain things, you realize that motion becomes a lot easier to attain. It becomes a lot easier to move forward. I'm not saying it becomes easy. It becomes easier though. It becomes a lot easier than what it used to be. So what we're talking about today is the power of value. We're talking about the power of value. I'm telling you now that as a Christian, I have met so many Christians who do not understand this principle and they try to pray it away. You cannot pray away your ignorance of certain principles. You cannot pray away your violation of obvious principles that work. And in the principle of value, it is simply the understanding that you need to be useful. You need to be relevant in the space that you occupy. Let me read this for you from Unlocking Favor with God and People. When we talk about value, we're referring to the usefulness, relevance, and benefit a person brings into a space. The usefulness, the relevance, and the benefit that you bring to a space. Value is what makes someone indispensable in the workplace, unforgettable in relationships, and irreplaceable in moments of need. Are you that person that we call when we need someone? Are you the first person that comes to mind for somebody out there when they need someone? Now, there is a man called Daniel in the Bible. And in Daniel chapter 6, verse 3, it says something very interesting about him that we don't often talk about. Because oftentimes when we talk about Daniel, we talk about how Daniel was fasting. Daniel was in the lion's den. And what we tend to look at, and this happens a lot when people look at Bible characters, they look at the outcomes of their lives and not pay attention to the details of how it is that they became what they are. How did they get to where they were? You see, in the case of Daniel, you see Daniel becoming essentially one of the most significant men in the entire nation of Babylon. But for him to get there, in Daniel chapter 6, verse 3, it says, "Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. He so distinguished himself by his exceptional qualities. This is not an average man. This is not a man of mediocrity. And I'm telling you now that if you are a man or a woman who has accepted mediocrity as a standard in your life, you need to understand that there is no amount of fasting that can save you. There is no amount of prayer that can pull you out of that place. It is a decision. Becoming a valuable person is a decision that is backed up by action. So have you decided to be valuable? Have you decided that your life carries value? Beyond just asking people to love you as you are, to take you as you are. We have this erroneous assumption in our culture. We have this very mistaken assumption in our culture where we think that people have to love you for who you are. They just have to accept you for who you are. When I was still trying to find a wife, when I was still waiting to find a wife myself, I used to hear people all the time say to me, "You've got to find somebody who will love you for who you are." Be very careful that they don't love you for the stuff. They don't love you for, the money that you can make and the influence that you have. They have to love you for you. And who is you, though? Who are you? When you say that people just have to love you for you, accept you for you, who are you? You want to tell me that they have to just take you as you are, no matter the mediocrity? No matter the fact that you don't even bring any value to their lives? Every single one of us, when we seek out relationships of any nature, we always must ask ourselves, and we do ask ourselves, what value do they bring to my life? Whether you ask that question consciously or subconsciously, it is always a question of value. In relationships, some of us want to get next to someone because they're important and it makes us look important. Some of us want to get next to somebody because they've got money and they could throw some our way. Some of us want to get into a relationship with someone because they have an excellent understanding of business and they could help you too. The point I'm making to you is, you must come to the understanding that if you do not increase your value as a person, there is no amount of religious activity that will help you. When we hear about Daniel's fasting, when we hear about his promotion, you don't hear that Daniel was fasting and so he was promoted. That's not it. You hear about the other qualities that he possessed that led to his promotion. It says that he set himself apart by his exceptional qualities. What exceptional qualities set you apart? What exceptional qualities? I'm asking you. Listen, don't take it personal. What exceptional qualities set you apart? What exceptional qualities make you into the person who we call when we need this, when we need that? Because you see, there are certain people who find themselves in spaces where they never would have ended up there if they were not excellent over there. They never would have gotten into this room if they were not excellent in the service that they provided to someone and that person thought about them in a moment that would change their lives. And they said, actually, I know someone. I know someone. You have to become unforgettable. You have to strive to become the kind of person who adds value no matter where you find yourself, no matter where you are. People won't just love you for who you are. They won't just accept you for who you are. It won't just be about how, I was born beautiful and so you just have to take me as I am. No, it's ridiculous. People want to get next to you for who it is that you have become and who it is that they believe you can still become. When a company hires you, they don't have to take you as you are. You yourself know that you don't love people for who they are, right? Because if you had somebody who started stealing from you and they said, no, just don't worry about what I do, just love me for who I am, you're not going to love them for who they are. What they do matters greatly to you. So we must understand this, and we see this throughout the Bible where we see Joseph, for example. Joseph is a young man who has a dream. He gets these visions that speak of a future where he will be in a position of influence. His brothers hate him for it. One day he finds himself betrayed by his brothers in the house of an Egyptian man called Potiphar. He works in there, begins to sort of work his way up. He gets falsely accused, thrown into prison. And now as he's sitting in prison, the down and out, we do not see a change in his demeanor. He continues to serve. He is so excellent in the prison. He is so valuable to the people around him that they end up putting him in a position where he was overlooking the other prisoners. And in one of those encounters, it would lead to his freedom. He finds himself one day standing in front of the king of the entire Egypt, in front of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh says, I've heard that you are the man that can help me. I've heard that you are the man who has an answer for me. No one else can help me. And he says, well, it is God who has this answer, but just go ahead and tell me. I can help you. Tell me your dream. I'll help you interpret it. This is really profound. This is really powerful. It's important for you to understand this in your own life. That people won't just feel sorry for you. And this idea of wanting to thrive on pity, it's not a very good strategy. Right? Among my own people, and I don't mean to speak disrespectfully, but among my own people, I used to grow up with this mentality that support me because I'm a young black man. I'm a young black man. You know, you don't like to see young black men win. Why don't you like to see young black men win? Do something for the young black man. That is not a good strategy. People love themselves too much. They value themselves too much to support you just because you're a woman, just because you're a young black man. They always ask themselves the question of what it is that they will benefit, that they will gain from dealing with you. What is it that we get out of dealing with you? On social media, you hear people all the time talk about how we gave him a platform. We gave him a platform. No, you didn't give him a platform. He showed up with something of value and you followed him. You gave him attention. But you didn't give him attention because he was just like, please follow me because I'm young and I come from Sebokeng. It wasn't because of that. It was because they showed up, they offered value, whether it was through entertainment, encouragement, whether they were motivating people, teaching people something. At the end of the day, they showed up with value and you followed them. You didn't give them a platform. And I want you to understand that favor is drawn to people who carry value. Doors open for people who carry value. Right? I have a mentor who speaks about this so powerfully. He speaks about Jesus and how one time in Luke, and I will find the exact scripture and put it here, but they say to Jesus, everyone is looking for you. Everyone is looking for you. When he was in isolation, everyone is looking for you. Could it be said of you that everyone is looking for you? That, oh my goodness, we will do whatever it takes to get that man in this room right now. Please go out, find him, search high and low. Just bring me that man. That's the one I want to work with. That's the one I believe has the answer to what we're dealing with right now. I am telling you this, that without value, you will become useless. And that sounds like a harsh word, but it's not a harsh word, my friend. It is honesty. You will become useless. Let me read this for you. People who consistently add value have usually gone through the fire of preparation. Their skills are sharpened, their mindset refined, and their motives purified. They're the ones who ask, would things and lives other than my own get better if I were promoted? Would things and lives get better? Lives other than my own if I were promoted? Or do you just want to be promoted because you have some bills? You just want to be promoted because you've got some debt? People don't care about that. Your employer does not care to promote you because you've got a few obligations. Your employer does not care to promote you because you've got a baby on the way or you're getting married or you want a car. They wouldn't promote you because of that. They will promote you because of the value that you contribute above and beyond what you claim about yourself. Right? They will promote you for the value that you contribute. It won't just be because you have some needs. Everybody has needs. Everybody has needs. And God doesn't bless people according to needs. It is not needs that attract people's favor. Every single day you see people on the streets who need something. And yet here you are, you're not doing anything for them, even though they need something. My friend, please hear me. It is value. It is value. When you become a valuable person, you attract favor to your life, favor with God and favor with people. Let me read just one more thing for you from Unlocking Favor with God and People. Many want favor and promotion, but few ask whether their elevation will lead to the betterment of others. God is more likely to open doors of favor to those who have a track record of blessing others in the spaces they already occupy. Listen, would it improve your life if you could just learn how to speak better, so that when they need someone to speak, when they need a communicator, you become the person we call? How could it help your life if you could just learn how to write better? If you could just learn how to lead better? If you could just show up in spaces and improve your skills in those spaces? How could it change your life if you became more valuable? And in you becoming more valuable as a person, you become more valuable to the company. You become more valuable in the marketplace, and people seek you out. And instead of insisting that we love you for who you are and as you were born, you now start realizing that, oh, I actually contribute. I am a contributor. So let me read for you that definition again that we said in the beginning. When we talk about value, we're referring to the usefulness, relevance, and benefit a person brings into a space. Let go of this idea that people just have to bless you because of who you are. Let go of this idea that somehow you're supposed to get ahead because, life must give you a break. It's value. The question is value. How useful are you? How beneficial are you? How beneficial would it be to me to have a relationship with you? How beneficial would it be to the organization to put you in a leadership position? How much of a difference do you make as a person? This is a practical question. This is not a question for you to take to God and to say to God, God, make me better, make me better. Work on whatever it is that you need to work on. God has already given you everything that you need to become more valuable. And the next time people say, what do you bring to the table? Instead of getting offended, you will confidently show up and say, this is what I bring. This is the value that I contribute. My friend, this was episode 2 of Align with Poloko.